Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the program, My Sister and I. Okay, so one of the topics that is a very controversial topic is the issue of hijab. How do you define hijab? Is hijab in the Quran or not? Hijab was something at the time of the noble prophet, but now because time has changed, you don't need to wear the hijab. What is hijab? Does hijab differ from one country to the next, from one city to the next? Which parts of your body do you have to wear the hijab? Is hijab only for men or women? All these questions are questions that are asked by many people, and in this program, Fatima and I will try to answer these questions based on the studies that we have and the researches that we've done, and also our experiences. So Fatima, with which question would you like to start?
I guess I want to start with saying that we are both practicing hijab, whether we are inside an Islamic country or outside in a Western or non-Islamic country. This is a choice that we have made personally. We are happy about it, alhamdulillah, so far.
When did you start wearing the hijab?
From before I was 9, actually. We practiced wearing hijab from before we were 9, and we were very much encouraged by our parents, and then after that we were happy to wear it. Now I think that a lot of women, many women may experience phases of their life, maybe people who have hijab, that they are not so sure about the decision, especially if you're living in a non-Muslim country. You can't find jobs maybe as well as if you were a non-hijabi. These are all challenging issues, but so having said this, that we both wear hijab, I wanted to start with one topic, that what is the limits of hijab. When you go to Western countries, you see a lot of girls who are wearing hijab, but their hijab is like they're covering their head, they're covering their hair, but the figure is completely showing. The clothes are so tight, the top and the pants, or maybe the pants are short, and they have so much makeup that it's really, really attractive. It is true that Allah is the one who judges between himself and the people and his servants, but hijab has a very clear definition, and one of the criteria of hijab is that you should not attract negative attention to yourself. What do we mean by negative attention? It means that your clothes are so revealing, not necessarily they're not showing your skin, but they are showing the curves of your body so much that people will want to look again. Or for example, you're wearing so much makeup that when somebody passes by, be it a man or a woman, they want to turn around and look back. So
Fatima, don't you think that this is a relative point? For instance, if you wear something like if you wear a red scarf or like a colorful scarf in Iran or in an Arab, like in Saudi Arabia, in Medina, and then you go out with a pink scarf, then everyone will look at you. But if you go out with a pink scarf in Sweden, or let's say in any other country in Europe, they wouldn't even bother looking at you. So that's like what makes hijab a little difficult.
Yeah,
it makes it a little relative.
But my point here, Razia, was to talk about the curves of the body. That's the main point that I wanted to mention. I wanted to say that hijab is hijab when you are covering the curves of your body. Okay, you can't wear something really, really tight and then believe it to be hijab. It is a kind of hijab, but it's not a complete hijab.
And it's interesting that I read in a hadith that at the end of time, people wear clothes that as if they're not even wearing anything. It's so tight that it reveals. Like now, it's been a year or two that I see men even wearing very tight clothes. And it's not only an issue for women, because the same attraction applies for women as well. So continue.
So another point that I wanted to make was I see a lot of Instagrammers and I see a lot of like activists, so not social activists, those people who are active in the social media activists. I see a lot of people, like a lot of Muslima women with hijab, they come and they do different kinds of makeup tutorial. So to me, that's a really big question mark, because the whole idea of hijab comes from hujb, comes from modesty, haya, You know, you're sort of like protective of your beauties. When you come on TV and when you're showing everything, and when you're showing everybody, oh yeah, this is how you apply mascara, this is how you apply lipstick, that sort of like defeats the reason, the purpose, right? It's sort of contradictory, and to me that's always a big question mark, that like, why would a person who is wearing hijab come and expose themselves to so much to like non-mahrams, and like their videos getting viral with them showing different types of makeup.
But you know, even the same is applied for us, because as I said, cultures and norms of different societies are so different. Even some people would say that like wearing makeup in a culture, in a society that everybody should have some amount of makeup to look fresh, not to like, you know, attract attention. So like having a little lip gloss or a little like
foundation
is
bit of
totally
mascara.
fine for them. Even for in our case, they would say that you're displaying your faces, you know, to the whole world. So according to some people, what we're doing, even what we're doing, is wrong. So even, you know, so that's like what makes hijab very, very difficult.
Yeah.
The other point,
That's actually a really good point that I think we can discuss someday. That okay, this amount of makeup that Razia said, something that is according to the orf, according to the custom and the norm of the society, it's something that everybody, like almost everybody wears. Are you allowed to have that much makeup or not? That's something that we can talk about. But I'm talking about these people wearing like really strong makeup and then doing tutorials, or you know, like even I see like Muslim couples, when they do vlogs or shows, they talk about everything, and the lady, you know, she's so much exposed to, I mean, the private aspects of your life, I mean, or the fact that, I don't know, you're doing my main issue actually is the makeup tutorial. I don't really get it.
I think the point about hijab, something that we should keep in mind is hijab is something that it's not only applicable to the outward appearance of your body, but it's something that entails it's an inner feeling, and the outer appearance is what you actually expose to other people. So hijab has two aspects: hijab of behavior and hijab of appearance. So sometimes we see that a woman is not wearing any scarf, or she's like she's, you know, wearing like a t-shirt or like long sleeve shirt and loose pants, and then there's a lady wearing a scarf, and you know, she's all covered up. The way like you see the Muslim lady flirting with a man, and the other lady with no hijab, she's like so much more modest. I'm not saying that this lady
It's
without the
either or.
hijab, it's not either or that.
It should include
It
both.
should include both of them.
Exactly.
So this is something that we should also take into consideration. The other point that I wanted to say was that
let's elaborate a little bit more on this issue of haya and modesty. You know, it's become so much the norm that we talk to our, of course, many of us are working, we are active in the society, and that's great. There's nothing wrong about that. But you know, to know your limits as a Muslim woman, like to what extent are you allowed to chill, you know, and get comfortable?
What is the purpose of wearing the hijab? What is the philosophy behind wearing the hijab? If you could answer this question, then you would have a reason for having modesty of behavior and modesty of appearance. The basic reason for hijab is for the purpose of safeguarding the sanctuary of the family. So that in the religion of Islam, a man and a woman are supposed to satisfy their needs, their emotional needs, their sexual needs, only throughout the boundaries of a family. So if you have any need, instead of you know, going outside and, you know, looking around for different kinds of women, and you know, there is no end, no limit to the beauty that you can find out there. So when you know that you are restricting your looks and your because insan is a human being, is a creature that his inner carnal material desires has no end.
It's never
you will never get satisfied with how much joy you would give to your eyes or to your ears or to your body. So like you see that in many countries where there is porn, this doesn't satisfy them, so they go to having sex with animals, or threesomes, like one man and different kind of women. So all these shows that there is no limit to the
human
thirst
desire
and the lust of the shahwa of a human being. So this is something that we should keep in mind, and this is the point that Islam has taken into consideration. How do you settle this down? Through the issue of hijab. And hijab is first of all, it's something that has been received in the Noble Quran in chapter 24, which is in chapter 30, in chapter 24, which is chapter Nur, and verse number 24. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's very interesting, Fatima, that when it's talking about the issue of modesty and hijab, first of all, it addresses Muslim men by saying to them, lower your gaze and be careful of what you see. See, just as we are so careful about our food, about our diet, about the calories that your intake of calories, it's so important for you which school do you send your kid to, what kind of cotton you wear, what kind of drinks
cream
you have,
wear, what your
everything
makeup brand is.
Yeah, all these are you're so sensitive on.
And then
what about the food of your eyes?
Your soul,
the food of your spirit. So because men, because of their physical, psychological structure of creation, they are more vulnerable with regards to their sight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told men to guard their eyes, and then
that's the first step,
right,
to safeguard
for
the family.
hijab.
Exactly.
And then for the next step, in the second verse of the same chapter, it addresses women by telling them, lower your gaze and be modest, cover your private parts, and then put your khumur, which is, if you refer to an Arabic dictionary, khumur is a head covering, something with which you conceal your head. But in the past, in the pre-Islamic era, at the time of Jahiliyyah, women of Medina used to wear the khumur or the scarf, and then what they would do was that they would tuck the two ends behind their ear and their neck, and they would put it in the back. So in this verse, God says that put your khumur, bring it and cover your bosoms. So this way you cover your ear, you cover your neck and the upper part of your bosom. So these are the first verses of the Noble Quran. So hijab is a guideline, is a ruling that has been mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a man-made ruling. As a matter of fact, hijab has been going on even before Islam in all Abrahamic religions. And it's interesting that I was watching a video about women of England about 70, 80 years ago, and they were completely covered, their hair, their body.
Even nuns nowadays, they
completely have hijab. And it's interesting to know that in many cultures, hijab was for the elites of the society, for the aristocrats, for the the nobles, the noble ladies of that society would wear the hijab.
Nobody else should see them.
They were so special. And then prostitutes, they did not wear the hijab, they did not cover up, and this was a sign for them to be realized by other people,
to be distinguished. I think that the first point that Razia mentioned is really it's a great point, that the first benefit of wearing a hijab is to sort of safeguard the family, because men are usually more vulnerable through their eyes, whereas women mostly get vulnerable through their emotions. And so when a man sees different kinds of women, he will maybe unconsciously compare. And I know that maybe some people will say, oh no, my husband's not like that, or maybe some men will say, I'm not like that. But generally speaking, that's the rule, right? And so imagine yourself attending a wedding where everybody is not wearing hijab and people are dancing together. How would you feel in that ceremony? And then imagine another kind of Islamic wedding where men and women are separated, and the women are all dressed up, but they go home and their husbands only see they're being dressed up, you know? And the second point that I wanted to mention for the as the benefit of hijab is that when you wear the scarf, when you cover yourself up, you spend more time focusing on more important things in life than straightening your hair or what kind of, oh, today my mascara is finished, what am I supposed to do? You know, you have more focus to spend on more important things in life. I'm not saying that when you're wearing the hijab, you should disregard what you wear or how you look like. No, never, because an-nidafatu min al-iman, verily cleanliness is one of the signs of iman and faith. But what I'm saying is that when you wear the hijab, you tell the other person, you give the other person the signal that, hey, you're talking to me as a human being. You're not talking to me as an object.
Okay, thank you for watching, guys. We'll be talking more about this in our next episode.